continue doing it. And I want to thank Interweave Continental, Chris Bice, our senior minister at Tennessee Valley, and our church administrator, Heather Finney, who's sitting right here.
Taking pictures.
Yes. First off, thank you again so much. And just to give you a little history on how I got started in activism, I was living in Battle Creek, Michigan, and Kalamazoo, Michigan, working for my father, and I came out and he fired me. And quickly losing any relationship with my family, with the exception of a younger brother who also was gay. And we became very close. And then not being able to do a lot in that particular geographic area because my father was a business owner and extremely well known in the community. And we shared the same name. So I felt that it wouldn't be fair to him. It would most likely harm his business and his stature in the community. So I waited until I went to Chicago and ran into a couple of activists that Ken and I, my partner, 30 years, committed for 28 years. And I dragged him into activism reluctantly. And he was, knowing him today, you never know it, but he's very quiet and shy. But, not anymore. But anyway, we were demonstrating at that particular time. Harold Washington, the first black mayor of Chicago, was making sounds of embracing the LGBTQ community. And we were demonstrating at City Hall. I was inside at the meeting. Ken was outside picketing. He was seen on the early evening news in Chicago and was promptly fired the following Monday. So that's how we started in activism. And then Richard M. Daley carried on the momentum. Harold Washington died. He was a very large man, and he died during his first term of a heart attack. And the year between his death and Richard Daley being elected, it just kind of stagnated because the vice mayor was then put in the position of mayor, and we called him Mayor Mumbles. You couldn't understand a word that meant. Man, so anyway, and this is interesting. I find this interesting. Richard M. Daley, we have no term limits in Chicago. He was mayor from 1989 to 2011. He had one term longer than his father. So anyway, he retired. And, but I would like to say, since being in Tennessee, Ken and I have seen some huge changes just in the 11 years that we've been here. There's a huge PFLAG chapter in Tri-Cities that is very active. And we have 27 gay-straight alliances in East Tennessee. 13 of them are in Knox County. The first 6 months of our first woman mayor, Madeline Ruggiero, she passed the city's non-discrimination policy for city employees. Now this last Monday, I went to a workshop for the county. I'm retired so I can do this kind of stuff. And Amy Broyles, our very own Amy Broyles, who is a county commissioner, is a member of our church. She sponsored an identical bill for the county. And it had its first reading, and it passed unanimously. There's a handful of us that have worked on this, and I'd like to downtown Knoxville, what's wrong with Chattanooga? Anytime in the future you want to go this route, contact me through TVUUC, and I can give you a name of any dozen people that would take the time to go to Chattanooga and have workshops or whatever it is that you need to do. I would be one of them. And also, Tennessee Equality Project has been very important in my life down here. They were the ones that got me involved in the activism in East Tennessee. Tennessee Equality Project is, the president and CEO is Chris Sanders, and he's a phenomenal person. Even though he's an Episcopalian, he's a great guy. And he came to Knoxville when we were working on the city. Now that's quite a trip, just to come for a few hours and do a workshop to help us get the city ordinance passed. But he's willing to do it. Chattanooga's even closer to Nashville. And then another thing that I'd like to say is we very recently had a very brave and courageous young man from Oak Ridge that was a bullied student in high school, not only by peers, but by administrators and teachers. Okay, the teachers were not physical, of course, but verbally. And his name was Marcel, or is Marcel, I'm going to crucify this, Nerdgaard, I think it's Dutch. And he's 11 years old, and he found out that Representative John Reagan's from his district was given the Reformer of the Year award by Students First. He was outraged, because Reformer of the Year means that you're supposed to have safe schools. And John Reagan also is a sponsor in the House of the Classroom Protection Act, which was anything but protection. What it basically did was, if a student went to a teacher, counselor, administrator, or even another student and discussed homosexuality or questioned his own feelings or anything, they basically were outed to their parents. It would have been a law requiring these people to contact the parents or the guardians. The Senate co-sponsor of that bill is Stacey Canfield. Okay? So, anyway, Marcel and his parents, they did a lot of talking about it. They were a little worried about him. And I don't know if all of you have read about this. I may be just giving you old news. But he decided to go through with it, and they started a petition on their own. One.org got a hold of it, and they ended up with 50,000 signatures. Students First revoked the award. Now, before they did the petition and everything, I understand Marcel did call Students First and asked them to do this because of this reason, that reason, and of course they refused. You know, this 11-year-old kid that, you know, just doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, untrue. And then another thing I'd like to say is when Ken and I go to Nashville every year, it's usually the second week in March. We spend the entire day, and we encourage people to come with us. We usually rent a van, maybe a 15-passenger van, and the most we've ever had go over is 12. Last year we only had 6. But and that's paid for by, last year TEP paid for the van, and the church pays for the gas. Isn't that good? And in closing, I would like to say that there's a young man that I know from Tri-Cities that we met through TEP. I was at an outing with him one time with some of his friends, And one of his friends asked Joe Reimer, why do you do this, Joe? Why are you so passionate about this movement and everything? And Joe is 28 years old. He said, it will happen in my lifetime. It will not happen in Larry's lifetime. So, I thanked him for that. All right, and another thing I'd like to say is, again, thank you so much for this, especially Chris and Heather. And they were the ones that heard about it and nominated me, I guess. And with this gift of $250, by the way, you get a little money with this too.
Oh, yeah.
This is all going back to the church. Okay. Heather, remind me of that, Chris.
She will.
So, and again, just thanks a lot. I want to thank Bill and Walter. Walter's the guy standing. Bill's the guy with the white beard sitting next to him. They chauffeured us up here. They felt it was very important that we do not do it in Knoxville, that I should come up here and receive this award.
Yes.
So they drove us up here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.